So I will call to order the Personnel and Public Policy
Personnel and Policy.
the Personnel and Policy Committee at 5:04. I am on the wrong agenda. I'm looking at the school board agenda. I'm sorry. Well, I'm finding where we are. Any actions on the minutes?
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. That's why I couldn't find the name because I was in the wrong spot. Are we going to go through these policies one by one, or what do we want to do with these policies for review?
I would recommend that the committee move the Title IX policies to the board because they're based on a very complex law.
Mhm.
And our attorney is going to be at the board meeting tonight to answer questions if anyone has any questions.
So is that all of them except like,
It's all the
last-
A
All the
policies.
A ones.
okay.
All the A policies are Title IX.
Oh, the pregnant students is not,
Oh,
Title IX?
no, JIE, yes. I think that's part of, that's a requirement because of a Title IX policy. So that, I guess you could try to move that one as well.
You could do that or do it in the second, either way.
so, do we have any discussion or do I need to ask for a vote
It's up
or
to,
something first?
would, do you? Yeah, you can.
So we'll talk about all of them together, 3.1 through 3.8, and we're discussing moving all these together to the board tonight.
Mhm.
So is there any discussion about these?
No, I just have a couple of questions.
I will try to answer.
I'm sure you can.
Yep.
Who is writing these? Some seem to be like templates from the New Hampshire School Board Association. Some do not necessarily. So who's writing these?
So the Title IX policies came directly from our attorney.
Mhm.
And they're based on the 10,000-page Title IX document.
Mhm.
And they're designed to synthesize all of that so that staff members know the appropriate steps. And so what they did was they sent us their samples, and then we loaded.
It's New Hampshire School Board Association?
No,
Templates?
these ones actually all came directly from our attorney.
Okay.
They're not from the NHSBA.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we originally looked at the NHSBA ones, but the attorneys were way better. So we took the ones from the attorney.
Because some of them do say at the top, notes should be removed before blah, 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 right?
Yes. And some of them are, our original policy was from the NHSBA, but the new one is from Jim. So there's a little bit of, once the board approves it, Phyllis will clean it all up and make it all look uniform.
Mhm. What's his last name?
O'Shaughnessy.
O'Shaughnessy.
He's on the NHSBA, isn't he?
No,
Because he's on an agenda for an NHSBA workshop.
oh, I'm sure he does all kinds of presentations for superintendents.
Attorneys speaking to superintendents.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, that's so he's the head of the Drummond and Woodson law firm.
Mhm.
So for schools
Okay.
in New Hampshire. So he speaks often at many things, but he's separate. The New Hampshire School Boards Association attorney is Will Phillips, and the head of that group is Barrett Christina. They're both attorneys,
Okay.
and they do give us legal advice. They have a policy manual that we typically take policies from,
Mhm.
and then we load their suggestions into our policies for process. In this instance, because the Title IX law is so specific, we went with the sample policies from our attorney, which we often do when they offer one over. Typically, the NHSBA ones are fine, but when it's a little bit gray or murky or tricky, or it's very complex, we will go with the attorney because they represent us in court should we get sued.
Gotcha.
Any other discussion?
I'm sure there will be lots of conversation with him at the board meeting.
He's going to do a presentation for you
Oh,
to
fabulous.
try to help. So he
Okay.
came up with some
That would be
slides
super
to help
helpful,
explain some of these
Um,
things and to
Mhm.
help you
Yeah.
understand.
because there's a lot in here, a lot of changes, and I know that, we're required, because we're federally funded school, we're required to have Title IX laws and specific wording and all that fun stuff, so it'd be great to get Jim's input on these. So for that reason, I'm comfortable moving 3.1 through 3.7, which are all the A policies on the agenda. Are we doing first and second because of the time?
We are, because we're
required to have them in place already.
We're already technically bound by the law to follow it.
Yes.
The policies are just, it takes a little while when it changes early August for
Yes.
the writing
Yeah.
to catch up.
So for that reason, I'll make a motion to move them for first and second read to the board tonight.
But not the pregnant students one?
I think we can do that one after.
Okay.
We'll move, I think, 3.1 through 3.7. We can move safely.
I'll second it.
You a second? All in favor? Okay. All right, so we'll just keep going down the list then
Yeah.
with the next ones. Okay, 3.8, pregnant students
Yeah.
policy.
And this one is also, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but this is also required because this is a policy that's required based off of the Title IX law. This is a sub policy.
That's correct. Just like the 2 job descriptions that we'll do later in the
Yes.
meeting.
Yep.
They're both a part of it, but they don't have to go to the board.
Yeah, that's one that has a note at the top, says note to local boards.
Yeah, and if you notice on this one, it's a little bit different than our typical note, which is, I just took a look at it for you, Ken. It
Mhm.
says DWM New Hampshire sample procedure.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. If it was NHSBA, it would say NHSBA sample policy.
Okay.
Just
And
so
this
that you know in the
is
future.
the law firm.
Yep,
Yeah.
DWM is Drummond and Woodson.
Okay.
Yes, and the legal references on this one are Title IX, and then cross-reference policies are AC, ACAA, ACAA-R2. So these are all in, this policy is in direct reference to those other policies we just moved for first and second read. So I'm good with also making a motion to move this one forward to the board for first and second read.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, so the next one is 3.9 EEA, student transportation services.
I'll let Dawn take this one because she asked to add it.
So I did ask to add this because I'm sure you guys recall, we received emails from a couple of parents that noted there was an error in this policy. And there was also a request to make a change. I think the most important thing in EEA is ensuring we make number 4, the change in number 4, because it said Sanborn Regional Middle School was in Newton. We need to clarify it and correct that and make sure that says Kingston, which it's noted in here right now on page 2. So the request came in for now that the Seacoast Classical is over in Newton in our former middle school building where still it's in our town. I actually took and printed out policies that are cross-referenced in this policy. So they were asking for us to consider allowing the 6th through 8th grade students to utilize the Memorial School bus that has a stop at Seacoast Classical. What I found after doing some research was that bus at Memorial is not just 3 through 5. That bus for Memorial takes all the Seacoast Classical kids from Newton and Kingston, K through 5, on those buses. So in essence, what they're asking is for us to put K through 8 students on the Memorial School buses. By law, we are, so let's see, right here, it's references in this policy, chapter 194B, number 2, and then you go down to letter Roman numeral 5. Attendance at a charter public school for the purpose of transportation shall not constitute assignment under the provisions of RSA 189.6 and RSA 189.8. Pupils who reside in the school district in which the chartered public school is located shall be provided transportation to that school by the district on the same terms and conditions as provided for non-chartered public school students, for public schools in the district, and utilize the same regular bus schedules and routes that are provided to pupils attending non-chartered public schools within the district. And I want to clarify that we're only required required to furnish transportation to people in, actually, it says grades 1 through 8, which I thought was interesting. Because it doesn't say 9 through 12 in this RSA. It just says grades 1 through 8, who live more than 2 miles from the school, which they are assigned. But this is a gray area because they're not assigned to a charter school. They just happen to be, the charter school happens to be in our district. So for that reason, they can take the buses that are provided that match our policy.
Match our schedule.
Our schedule, which also matches our policy.
Right.
So it has to
Yes.
match up in multiple ways in order for it to work. Otherwise, we're not required to transport students that don't fit in those specific criteria. So my concern is when we talked about when the whole reconfiguration happened, parents were very upset at first about the fact that we were going to have 6th through 12th graders together on a bus. It's turned out that's gone well, but they were extremely upset with us for considering putting 6th through 12 on a bus together. I can't in good conscience tell kindergarten parents that we're going to put 6th, 7th, and 8th graders on a bus with their kids. So they're basically asking us to change the policy, the wording in the policy. Where was it in here? I forgot to print this one and highlight it.
Can I ask a question though? What does Fremont do? They're K through 8 school. So they have different buses?
Don't know.
I don't know.
I can't.
Georgetown, where my kids went to school, do K through 5.
Yeah.
And then 6 through 12
Yeah.
on the second bus
Yeah.
route.
So this says elementary students grades K through 5 will not be required to ride on the same bus with secondary students grades 6 through 12, except in unusual circumstances. And there are provisions for where people can petition for exemptions, but I don't know personally where we had the community come to us and say, you know, we don't like 6 through 12 together. I just don't feel comfortable saying we can put K through 8 together on a memorial run. So I'm not recommending we make the change to the policy to change that that I just read. I think we
So
should
as
do the
it-
same and bring it to the board for further discussion.
As it stands now, obviously
All
with the
K-
change of
Yeah.
the
And that's just
Newton
for
or something.
technicality.
Yeah.
So they can ride, if they're K through 5, they can ride the bus.
Take our transportation.
They are.
They are
They
taking our
are, okay.
transportation.
Not a
It's
problem.
the 6 through 8 students
Right, okay.
that are not able to take the bus because it doesn't fit.
And just to be clear, I think it's important for the public to understand that we follow the law.
Mhm.
And when we start to make concessions, then you open the door to make concessions about all kinds of other things.
Yeah,
The law is very clear that we do not need to change our start time for our middle school sports. But we need to allow those kids to participate in those sports, but it's the charter school's responsibility to get the children to the sports on time when we run them.
Mhm.
I want the kids to participate in the sports.
So
I want the kids to go to
Yeah.
the school that they want to go to. But what I don't want to do is obligate the district to financial or programming burden for a charter school that's not actually a part of the district.
Yep.
Right? It's a separate entity, and I'm fine with that,
Right,
but I want it to stay separate.
Yeah.
Right? And when we start bending bus routes, so let's say that
Yeah.
we made a motion to bus the 6 through 8 kids to the SCA, but we didn't want to put them on a K-5 bus. That's a $30,000 expense at least.
Yeah.
Have to run another bus.
Yep.
Right? And that to me doesn't feel like it's fair to the taxpayers of Kingston and Newton. Having said that, I just want to be clear that I support Dawn's perspective that it's one thing to have 6 through 12 on a bus, it's another thing to have K through 8 on a bus.
Mhm.
The language, behavior, and stuff that middle school kids do as they're figuring out who they are is not appropriate for kindergartners. And I'm not comfortable with it,
Right.
but I'll do what the will of the board is, right? But if you ask me my professional opinion as an educator, I don't feel like putting kindergarten through 8th grade kids on a bus is a great idea.
Well, and I guess to Don's point, that the public has told us they don't really support that anyways.
Yeah, I think that if we say, yeah, let's throw K through 8 kids on a bus together, I think we will have, I don't want pitchforks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't-
I was
just don't think
very
it's
careful.
Yeah, I don't think it's developmentally appropriate, and I think that's why the policy was written the way it's written, where, elementary students K through 5, riding on the school bus, oh wait, that's the wrong one, shall not, elementary students grades K through 5 will not be required to ride on the same bus with secondary school students grades 6 through 12. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I think it's more developmentally appropriate to have it stay the way it is. Because there's a lot that you can expose kindergartners and first graders to when you have 8th graders on the bus.
And 6th graders.
6th graders too, but I mean, especially if you're talking, 8th
Yep.
graders,
I
anybody,
agree.
anybody in a middle school, the stuff they see and hear online and social media and all that, just not stuff that you want your kindergarten first grader hearing or.
You said something about the district is only obliged to provide transportation in the town where the charter school resides, which means we'd only actually be obliged to give
In the
Newton, to
district,
pick up Newton kids.
We're actually
No, in the
obliged for
district.
Kingston and Newton.
It says
because it's
in the
within the
district.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
thanks, Ken,
utilize
that's a great
and
question.
utilize the
it's-
same regular bus schedules and routes that are provided to pupils, which is why we're throwing the K through 2 students on those, because it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what town you're in.
Right, when they do the run, they pick up the kindergarten.
I misheard, I
all
thought you
out.
said in the
Yeah.
town.
And maybe I misread it, but I did.
If it's in the district, I
It says
understand, yeah.
district, yes.
Yeah,
thanks
And
for
just, I think for, just to be really clear, it does say that attendance at a chartered public school for the purposes of transportation shall not constitute assignment. So our requirement is only to students that are assigned to our public school. They're not assigned to that charter school. So because the charter school is there, it makes it gray because it says, but we're only required to do what our policy and our bus routes are.
I don't recall, was this part of the negotiations with them that they subsidize some of the transportation
No,
in the contract?
and that's the thing is that they don't subsidize the transportation because we knew that when we took them on, that we would still have to, we knew that it would be, that we would have to bus K-5 to Newton, but we already had a bus run for that.
Mhm.
So the law is designed to not burden the local school district if they
Yeah.
house a charter school. But that if you live in that town and you would have received transportation to your local elementary school, you get that transportation to the charter school. So we knew that it would happen, but we knew it wouldn't be a financial burden. To move 6 through 8 and run another bus run would be a financial burden. Right, so
Well,
what I explained to one board member is, when they ask me a question is this: first, the board has to meet the question of, do you want 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students on a bus with K-5? And then if you said, yes, we were okay with that, then I would have to go through the study of how many kids would that be and what would that look like.
Do we have to increase
Do
the?
we have to increase the number of buses?
Mhm.
Right, but I had a feeling that the philosophy was not going to be a fit, and I wanted feedback on that first.
No, that's good. The reason I asked the question is, if they're not already subsidizing, I would tell them, go hire a bus and do your own 6th through 8.
That's what I told them.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I said you can either do your own 6 through 8 run and hire one bus, or you can have parents drop the kids off and
Which any student outside of our district,
get
their
dropped off.
families
It's getting
are
dropped off.
required to be dropped off by their family.
Yeah.
K through
Because
8.
they are not, K through 8, because they're not assigned to that school.
Yeah.
So their towns are not required to, their local districts are not required
that
to
makes
provide them
sense.
transportation.
And it's important for me, for parents to understand that this isn't about whether or not we support them as parents and getting the
100%
kids
it's
to school.
not.
We
No.
want to support them.
Absolutely.
We just can't burden the district with their decision to go to a charter school. That's their decision as a family. right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody has the
Yeah.
choice to go wherever they would like to go. I mean, that's what choice is. And, we're fortunate that it is close for our families in our district, and that's great for them. But I just can't, I can't get behind, changing the policy because I feel like that has a larger negative impact on our students that I'm not okay with.
So are we moving this to the board for, they've got to adjust the address?
Which it's
And then the
noted in
committee
here
will
to
share that
adjust.
they did not support moving, changing the policy for the other purpose.
Right.
And then the board can discuss if they want to.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
you
I'll
need
make
a motion to
I'll
move it
make
to
a
the-
motion to move EEA to the board for actually, I guess, we don't technically have to do this one for second read right away. We just need
No.
first read.
Yep,
For first read, with the modification to the location of the middle school, changing it from Newton to Kingston, so it is accurate, and not making any other changes to the policy regarding changing the configuration of busing. That's it.
Is that your motion? That
I
was a
think
long
so.
motion.
That
Or
was
a
very
second.
long.
All in favor?
My super long motion.
I can talk about the next one. This one is GCLA, professional staff time schedules. It came up when we renegotiated the teacher's contract and the former policy was incongruent with the new contract. So what I did was I asked for one little piece to come out, which basically said that the staff need to be here 15 minutes before or after the start of the day. I don't see the edit in this one.
I was curious because I didn't see any edits in here, so I was like, well, maybe.
There's no.
No, I'm sorry, there's no edits. What we agreed on, I'm sorry, it's been a couple weeks since I talked with my team about this. We're asking the board to remove this policy. The collective bargaining agreement covers it.
I was gonna say, it's clear,
It's
very
totally the
clear.
collective bargaining agreement
in the
now. This is an
CBA.
ancient policy and we
Okay.
don't need it anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all about like when they have 37 and a half hours and the length of that's all in the CBA.
Right.
So
Okay.
it doesn't, it's redundant.
It was
And
very
it's
specifically negotiated.
very odd that the policy exists when we have a collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask you to repeal this policy.
So we move it to the board for first and second read, or?
First and
to-
second read for the purpose of repealing.
Okay,
Or removing, or what was the technical term in the
I believe
we
it was
ended up repealing.
repeal.
repeal? Thank you, yeah.
Repeal, okay.
Jim will be there, so you can tell us. He'll
So,
chime in, he doesn't let anything go.
so moved.
All right.
Mhm.
Yay, that was easy.
I don't think, I don't think who made the first on that.
No, so he said what the motion was and I said so moved. So he's
I said
seconding it.
Oh, okay,
I'm moving quick,
all right,
thank you,
okay.
Oh, we have to vote now.
All in favor?
thank you.
Okay.
Together we can do
Yes.
this.
That was a quick one.
And then the next two, the DJE bidding requirements.
Yeah.
I worked with Matt Malilla, who is not feeling well today, so finance
Oh,
and
no.
facilities got canceled. Oh, he's okay.
Okay,
There were
good.
some changes in the law that allowed, or that made it so that the, wait, is this the one? No, this is the one where Rick and I worked on it per the board's request at the end of the year.
Yeah, I was
So-
gonna say, and I noticed a lot of good feedback in the.
Yeah, the comments, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I'll resolve those. But yeah, we worked hard on this, Rick did a great job, and everybody kind of weighed in, and I think where it came out, people feel good about. And the finance and facilities have approved this.
Yeah.
So I had them approve it first to support you guys,
Right.
right? Because that
Perfect.
way you're all teed up.
No, and I saw their comments in there. I saw Jeremiah chimed in
Yep.
here. So I'm good to
Team effort, as
move
always.
it to the board. And this one, do we need this one for first and second? Is this one time sensitive? Or is this
Yes,
just?
this is a first and second.
Okay.
Because it makes it quicker for us to manage what it does is it makes it easier to not have to have a public hearing for every little grant that we
I know.
receive that we have. No, it's nice, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
You can just put it on the board agenda and accept it and say thank you,
Right, yes.
right? Then we don't have to stop at 6:30,
And have a public. hearing.
wait,
Mhm.
all that will go away from most of what we receive.
Okay, so I make a motion to move DJE to the board for first and second read.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. This next one is, this is an actual change, where Matt had worked on it and he kind of did this himself, so we'll get the formatting to be tight with our normal. But you can see, he linked the RSA in the right, that changed.
Yes.
And what he's saying is that the 5,000 moves to 20,000, because that is, the new RSA.
And for clarification, we're talking about KCD.
Thank you. Policy KCD, which is public gifts and donations.
Which definitely helps.
Oh, a ton. Both of these two policies will help a lot because we're still going out to bid. We're still being transparent, but it just gives a little more room when it gets icky
Right.
and hard to get. The problem isn't
So
getting
hard right
it
now.
done. It's getting enough people to bid.
Yeah.
And same thing with these gifts. Like, it's great when people give us gifts, but I don't want to slow it down when somebody gives someone $5,000. If it's going to help kids, let's go. Right? So it's great.
Mhm. All right, I will make a motion to move this to the board for first and second read tonight.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
And then if you move on to the next item, which was a couple of job descriptions, I was looking at the board agenda, but these don't go to the board. So the
No,
two, they're related to Title IX. Can you read the title of the two of them, Dawn?
So the first one is Human Rights Officer,
Human Resource Officer.
and the other is Title IX Coordinator.
Mm.
The agenda says Title IX compliance.
Yeah, they're
officer.
different.
They're different.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, so if you read the policies, they say Human Rights Officer / Title
Human
IX
Resource
Compliance Officer. I'm pretty sure when you read in the Title IX policies, it's like this / this. And I noticed in some, it depends on,
Yeah, but when you click on human resources, it goes to human rights.
Yeah,
Not the Title IX one.
I think it's,
okay.
I'll have the title fixed. I'll talk to Kelly and see where if
yeah,
someone might have made a mistake when they labeled the agenda versus the title. I can text.
yeah, because it,
Kevin's asking if there's pizza tonight.
um,
And salad.
let's see what it says.
So-
Policy.
So what is this policy? This is human resources?
It's not a
or-
policy,
or
it's a job
job
description
description.
for the Title IX policies. So the person who does this for us is Dr. Kennett.
It's Human Rights Officer.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
/
human
Title
rights, not
IX.
human resources.
Well, yeah,
It's just a
It's
typo.
Human
Mhm.
Rights Officer.
It is
it's-
human,
It is on the job
yeah,
description.
So
it's
in-
what's on the job description is
So
correct.
in
Okay.
this policy, it says Human Rights
Thank you.
Officer / Title IX. I knew I had read it.
You're right. So what's
So
correct
it's
is
an
in the document.
HRO and a Title IX
Okay,
coordinator.
and this is what Dr. Kennett does?
It's a part of his role. So he's a student services director. He handles special education, but when there's a Title IX complaint, there's a clearly defined person that has a
Okay.
role within that process, and he is that person.
I only ask just because when I hear human rights officer, my mind can wander to, are we hiring this
No.
new position?
No. Thank you for asking.
And
There's no new positions, no money attached
No,
to it.
and when you look in here, right in our policy, this is policy, I pulled up policy ACAA. It specifies under Human Rights Officer / Title IX Coordinator, Dr. Troy Kennett, Director of Student Services.
Mhm.
So it's clearly stated that he is both.
Mhm.
And he is already our Director of Student Services, so there's no additional,
Right.
staff.
And that will always be a part of the student services director's role. Right? It's a pretty big part. People don't
huge
realize how
part
much
of
Title
it.
IX is
Yeah.
we do actually have situations that need to be investigated. In fact, I was working on one for the last 48 hours. So it's complicated because the person who investigates, there has to be a person that decides, people that oversee everything, the process. It's designed to make sure that no one makes a mistake with the process.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Is that you?
it's not me.
Okay. Say more. I saw Sam in school yesterday.
Yeah, he probably didn't get my text that he's going home with someone else from football.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty stock and it's pretty in line with the policies. No more if you need to, go ahead.
yeah, I can-
You need to go with George. Okay. All right, on that school board. All right.
So I saw him walking through the hall and he's so tall, I almost didn't recognize him.
Oh, yeah.
He grow like a foot this summer?
Crazy.
I know, yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
he's gonna be Chris tall.
He's definitely taller than me now.
Yeah.
A lot of the like skills and abilities, technology skills, physical demands, that's.
Oh, all that
that's
stuff's just stock.
standard. That's
Yeah,
all
that's just stock
standard,
stuff.
so none of that is.
Yeah.
You know, adheres to, you know, code of conduct. That's, the stuff is all boilerplate.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, Kelly's doing a great job of getting all of these uniform and
Yeah.
standardized.
Yeah.
And it's really helping because when we have conversations about people's roles and responsibilities, the job descriptions are starting to come out in that conversation. So she's doing a great job of tightening these up.
um, So.
So we don't need to have a vote or anything.
I just
We
need you guys
need
to
to
approve them. It
approve
doesn't go to the
them.
board. It's just a vote for you to
They're
approve
here,
the two job
we approve them
descriptions.
here.
Who's the Title IX coordinator?
Troy Kennett.
Dr.
And-
Bennett, he does both. He's the HRO and Title IX.
I thought you said they had to be different people.
No, the investigator during a Title IX complaint is a specifically designed role. And then Troy can be the investigator, but then there's a decision maker and there's an overseer. You'll see more about it this evening. But the goal of these two job descriptions is to outline what Troy's expectations would be
Mhm.
in the moment of a Title IX investigation.
I'm good with both of these.
Good question, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, good catch.
So we do need to we are gonna do actual vote here.
For you
Yeah,
guys.
okay.
Yeah, this group would vote
All right.
on the two job descriptions. And then I move forward with assigning it and everything. So it's really,
Okay.
you're technically just voting on the two job descriptions.
So I'll move to approve the HRO and Title IX job descriptions as presented.
Thank you.
A second? All in favor?
Thank you. Oh, and just so you know, Drummond Woodson wrote those two job descriptions. Right, they're in line with the titles. So I meant to say that before, but just for public knowledge.
Yeah.
It's all very well crafted and done.
Do we need to do a non-public tonight?
No, I think we're good.
All right, our next meeting is October 2nd, and this meeting is adjourned at 5:36.
Awesome.